This is part 3 of construction of a simple and cheap Ironsheet layers house. If you haven't watched the previous parts, kindly check on the links below, watch part 1, it will lead you into part 2, and part 2 will lead you into this part 3 so that you can have a smooth and easy understanding of how we build the structure. Remember to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so that every time I upload a new video, I shall send you a link. This is roofing of the structure. We then want to lift the trusses from the ground to the lintel. You have to do it very carefully, alright? This is because of the flexibility of the trusses. Remember, I told you in part 2 that when you're doing the trusses, the below part of the truss, or rather, the part that holds the truss to the lintel, okay, will be 6'1", and therefore, timber measuring 6 inches by 1 tends to be a little bit flexible, alright? Ensure that every pillar is holding a truss. Don't put a truss between the pillars. In our case here, you can see that the truss is pinned to the second pillar, and then now pin the truss using a small timber of 2 by 1 on the side. Alright, you can see he's fixing the timber on the truss and then fixing the timber on the wall. So this timber will hold the first truss from the wall, ensuring that it doesn't twist and fall down, so that it can break and also break the other trusses, alright? So that when you do the second, third and subsequent trusses, they will then support each other, alright? So the top runners are the ones that will now hold the Ironsheet to the truss, alright? Ensure that you don't use timber that is above 2 by 2 inches, alright? As you're building the structure going up, you need to keep reducing on the weight, alright? So that the roof does not become so heavy to be held by the trusses. Then go ahead and cut the Ironsheet using a very simple procedure. Just take the required measurement, use the other side of the hammer, and then just tear apart. It will tear on a straight line, alright? Just step on one side and pull it up. That is how we cut Ironsheet. Very easily. Do not shake so that it comes out straight. Then remember I said that the side, or rather the width, will be inverted V. We'll have a V side, alright, rising from the corner to the apex. So when you cut the Ironsheet, then fix it or mount it on the edge, alright, having that climbing format, or rather the rising format. In our case, you can see we are now doing the width. After it's done, then check to ensure that the trusses are aligned. You can see now we have done the skirt. It is done. We've done the grills or the window grills and the blouse. You can see now the top part of the trusses have already been put, and we are almost halfway. When you get to this point, then start either bringing in the Ironsheets or partially clearing the floor, okay? This is just to ensure that we meet our targets in the required time. Ensure that as you work on the roof, there is no activity going on below the roof, like below the trusses. Always keep aligning the trusses. Every time you do any move, you keep checking from a distance and aligning it from a distance. You can see he's using a small piece of timber just to check on the straightness of the trusses and also of the rails that will hold the Ironsheets. The person working on the floor, or rather clearing the floor, is away from the trusses, alright? So as we keep moving towards the completion, and then we keep pushing the person clearing the floor, alright? Just try to do a simple clearing of the floor, removing any material or any vegetation or other unrequired debris. Alright, the house now starts to take a shape. It starts to give us an image. You then check and ensure that there is straightness and there is evenness and there is also strength and firmness in the four walls. Okay? And then you also check that the angle at which the trough or the trusses or the roof is protruding is equidistant from each other. Alright? When you bisect the roof from the center, it can give you an equal half on the right and on the left. Ensure that the center ridge, or rather the center timber at the center of the trough, the one that is now holding with this timber, are all in line. They form a straight line from the far end to the next end. This will just help you to ensuring that the roof is not bent. Remember that a roof that is bent is easily or rather likely to collapse. If it doesn't collapse, it doesn't give you a good outcome. Okay? So just ensure that the trusses are also firmly fixed to the pillars, and like I told you before in part 2, every pillar holds a truss. No truss is suspended on its own, or rather it's just suspended on the lintel. Ensure that the inter-truss distance is equal to the inter-pillar distance. That is, every truss is 1 meter apart. And ensure that these rails that you see running, that are supposed to hold the iron sheets, are at a distance of at most 45 centimeters from each other. Use an overlapping joint that holds to each other, because it's very difficult to join this timber, and like I told you, the timber is measuring 2 inches by 1, so you have to just use an overlapping joint. Let every joint be on a truss. Let no joint be hanging. Okay? And like I told you before again, ensure that while constructing, the structure is firm enough for the people working on it to be able to comfortably move on it. Alright? You can see my fundies are now on the roof. But because of the firmness of the structure, they cannot fall inside the structure. That gives you confidence that the structure is now gaining strength. We have now finished putting the trusses. We then move into the next step of ensuring that all the edges and all the overlappings are cut and they're even. We then want to get an image, or rather a perfect image of the structure. Once you finish doing the trusses, it will going to be very difficult for you to put the iron sheets on the roof and then come back and cut the overlappings like he's doing. As the work on the roof goes on, come to the face and complete the work of building the skirt, like I told you, 75 centimeters above the ground, 25 centimeters into the ground. If you can't really comprehend, check again part 2 of this video, and then complete the waist, which is now the window grill, and the blouse. Each of them 1 meter, 1 meter respectively. Always ensure that this top part that they are fixing, the iron sheets, moves from the window to the roof to ensure that also predators cannot enter through the roof. Okay? Then go ahead and do some light concrete that you're going to use to then fix the pillars into the ground. Go back and dig the pillars and then fill them with concrete. Alright? This helps in having a firm pillar, and as well helps in preventing of termites from consuming the pillars and making the structure weak. Look at the structure now. Very beautiful, very straight, very strong. It's now easy even for the subsequent steps, like now doing the floor and doing the roof. Always check your work. After every few steps, watch the structure from a distance and ensure it's even. You can see now from inside, despite the fact that we've not done the floor. Look at the beauty of the structure. The structure is now taking shape. When you're inside the structure, you can now feel it's a little bit cool despite the fact that you've not done the roof. When the wind blows at this stage, it can't even blow off the structure. Kindly watch the final part, which is now part 4, as we complete the structure completely and do some of the constructions inside, such as the hospital and the like. Part 4 will be the final part of construction of a simple structure. Kindly leave your comment below and also remember to like the video.